Hey YouTube family, well, welcome to part 2 of the Helios. Time to get this thing restrung and rocking. Now, time to intonate. Alright, I don't know if this will work, but I want to try and show you the first string and then I'll just do the rest because it'll be the same. So, to set up these guitars, I don't know if it's the same with every like Epiphone or Gibson style guitar that have these types of bridges on it. But on this particular one, you're going to need like a long shaft screwdriver with, like a flat tip. And you're going to have to adjust the saddle moving back and forth from the front. So it's easily accessible, but you just need to have a long, thin screwdriver to do it. I think it would work better. Not that I'm a pro at these by any means of the definition, but so I have to lengthen my string, and I just want to see which direction I have to turn because, like I say, I don't do these a lot. So it looks like counterclockwise we'll move the saddle back, so we'll lengthen the string, and clockwise, towards me, and where the guitar is respectively to me right now. So clockwise, we'll move the saddle forward, so shorten the string. So right now, if I tune up to pitch, so I'm in the center there of the tuner. I hope you guys can see this on the screen. I'm a little bit sharp, maybe. As long as you're close. Okay, so I am dead center. Harmonic is almost dead center, not quite, but both lights are on. And the fretted note is quite a bit sharp. So I have to lengthen the string. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to loosen the tuner up here, right here, because as you lengthen the string's going to get tighter. So I just loosen it about half a turn. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. Just so not add too much tension. And because sometimes these knife edge saddles, as you move them back and forth, this string isn't moving, right? So as you move these back and forth, it's like scraping your string. It's like cutting it. And a lot of times you'll snap one. So I like to loosen it, right? Move this string so it's a little bit less pressure, under the string, and then get back to pitch. So it's kind of just a trial and error thing. Let me find the slot. All right. So I'm going to move this back like a full turn, and it'll give me an idea. So now I'm going to tune this back up to pitch. See how much of a difference one turn made. And then check it. Check it. Oh, you know what? It didn't help much at all. Maybe I'm turning the wrong way here. Let me double check this again. No, definitely turning the right way. Counterclockwise lengthens the string. Still sharp. Wow, these adjustments don't seem to be making much of a difference at all. Just going to slack it a bit and I'm going to turn it. I'm going to turn it a bunch of times and just see what happens. Here we go. Oh, now we're getting it. It's very close. All right, a little bit more yet. Just got to go back some more. Another turn. All right. Oh, we're bang on there. Yes, sir. All right, so there you have it. It's just kind of a, try, repeat, try, repeat. you just got to do it until you get it on your meter. And sometimes it goes quick. The first adjustment will be bang on, and other times, like you see, it's kind of annoying. I'm going to do the rest and I'll come back. So what I did for the second string, I just, I loosened it a bit, take some tension off string, move this saddle back until it was just slightly further back than my small E, and then tested it, and it's bang on. So it went a lot quicker. So when you get that first one set, because it's always going to be a stagger, right? Like any guitar, your E string is going to be intonated at, let's say, X marks the spot. And then the B string is going to be a little further back than X. And then the G string is going to be a little further back. And then your D string is going to jump forward. And then your A string is going to be a little further back than your D. And then your E string is going to be a little further back. So, right, it's always going to be that way. So once you get your E set, the B, just, your first try, just get it slightly further back than the E and then go start there as a starting point. And for me, it's bang on. So check this out. So there's my B harmonic. And I hope you can see that in the tuner. Harmonic and then fretted note. Bang on. That needle doesn't even move. So perfect. All right, I'll do the other two because I know my A and my E are already set. Perfect. Again with the G, same thing. I just moved it back behind the B and it was perfectly intonated. Look at this. There's the harmonic and there's the fretted note. It wanders a bit, but that's just normal. It's bang on there. All right, we are good to go. So I know some of you said, "Whoa, you should have checked your neck relief." I did earlier, and it's good. There's just a little bit of relief in the neck. I could probably actually take some out maybe, which would help lower the action more, but that might create some buzzing. I might experiment with that before I put the new strings on, because the 10s will have a little more tension anyway. So I could kind of crank it down just a bit, maybe a quarter turn, put the 10s on. It'll probably bring it back to where it is now. But so yeah, so we're all good. We're all intonated perfectly. Rock and roll. We are good to go. All right, so the last thing that I want to double check is, like, before I change anything, I want to bring this tailpiece up. But there's a lot of tension pulling this tailpiece into these set screws. So I'm going to release the tension on the strings, raise it up, just to get the top of these strings away from these holes, just a little bit. And then I will retension, retune, double check the intonation, then I will strip the guitar, give it a polish, put new strings on it, rock and roll. So again, I'm losing my voice. So again, you don't have to take the strings off, just slack them up, right? Make sure they're nice and loose, because with enough force, you can turn these when the string is at full tension, but you're gonna scrape the crap out of this pin, this hook part. So, and you don't want to do that. So anyway, counterclockwise brings it up, and clockwise pushes it down. Right now they're fully seated. So I got this little cool screwdriver. It's got a bunch of different tips on it. You just kind of select the one you want, right? So I want the flat one. Nice big flat screwdriver so you don't mess these up. And here we go. So now see, it turns nice and easy. So I'm just going to bring it up until I see that the string is kind of relieved from the top. See there? There's all kinds of relief there. It's not digging into the top of the string anymore. And there's all kinds of break angles still. So I'm good. So basically I'm just going to adjust it a little higher on the bass side, a little lower on the treble side, because the string is thicker on the bass side. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So the string is still, touching the top. It's just how the orientation of the string through is, but there's way less pressure than there was before. So yeah, And then I'll just set these just for cosmetic purposes so that they are both, you know, straight. There we go. So we'll just do it like that. And that's it. And now we will retension and just check the tuning again. Okay, watch this. I think we're, with all this adjusting and, you know, loosening the strings and intonating and then raising the bridge and lowering the bridge and all this stuff, I think we're going to get a string breakage here happen here. Watch this. See, I'm not getting any tension. So something is pulling, either this tuner stripped all of a sudden. Oh, and there it goes. Right? The ball end just snapped right off. So yeah, I knew that was happening. So that's what happens with cheap strings and when you start adjusting your guitar. So always set up your guitar with the cheap strings that come on it, and then you'll make the refined tweaks with the nice new strings that you put on. So everything's good. I'm not, you know, there's all kinds of break angle there, even though I raised the tailpiece and the guitar works great. So, all right, strings are coming off, do a nice cleanup, final setup, and a little demo. All right, before I condition or polish these frets up, these frets are really nice anyway, so they won't need much of a polishing. I'm just going to take a crowning file and I'm going to address that high fret at number 13, just the edge of it. And when you're doing this stuff, less is more, right? You don't want to dig that in too deep and then you got to like do a whole fret level. So I'm just going to make a couple passes right over where the E string would be. Just to take a little bit of meat off. There, and that's it. You can barely tell that I touched that fret, but I think the other one was a little high too. That's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything else. I'll do a final check afterwards, and you can make these adjustments by just pulling the string back, you know, pulling the string back, doing your adjustment, bringing the string back, and then just polishing the fret, the individual fret. It's super easy. So it's not that big a deal. And if you're not comfortable doing that stuff, just don't do it. As simple as that. All right, we're going to address this nut. I'm just going to make a few little passes with my brand new nut files from Music Nomad, and we'll see how they work. I'm kind of curious. So I have my nut files stacked up in order of the 1st to the 6th string. So let's do this. There's a couple of rough spots in there, so it's good to do this. I just want to, so I can tell, I can see the angle of the nut. So I'm just kind of angling my nut file to follow that angle because it seemed to be okay before. And with this tool, like you can actually, from the bottom side, you can see how far you are off the fretboard. So I can kind of follow that gap, right? So I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, guys. I'm just first timing it, but and again, I'm not pushing hard. So I'm just cleaning up the nut, really. Just making sure that a 10 has got to fit in there. Nice and easy. So there's one. Here's number 13. We'll do the same thing. That one's going in and out nice and smoothly. So I'm not really going to push that one. Number 17. And once the strings are on it, I'll check to see the height at the nut. And then I can make some adjustments by just pulling the string out. So this is doing like minimal damage because I'm really not pushing hard. So, and it looks to me like this nut was cut for 10s anyway, because all these nut files are fitting in there just great. And then we have the 28 for the D string. Oh, see, this one is tight. See, this one doesn't slide as well. So this is what I wanted to address. Right, this one is a little rough. There we go. Oh yeah, this one's... There, just going to open that up a bit. See the difference? And I'm just letting the weight of the file kind of just sit in the nut. Because I'm not trying to cut the nut, I'm just trying to clean it up. There we go. All right. And this is the 36. This one's a little snug as well. There we go. So you make a couple of passes and then they move nice and easy. No downward pressure. Perfect. And the last one, which is 46. And this one's catching as well. And there we go. There. So just really a cleanup of the nut. I'll try and see if I can give you a close-up of that. So yeah, so I didn't, go any deeper than it already was. I just kind of cleaned them up. And hopefully when I put the new strings on, they'll be good. So yeah, these nut files are, I don't know. I've never used any, so I have no comparison, but they were expensive, not gonna lie. They're not cheap. So hopefully I can actually cut some nuts down the road and actually make them as good as new. But for this one, it didn't need a whole lot of work. Just a little bit of smoothing, and that was it. All right. Conditioning fretboard, polishing some frets, and we'll be done. Polishing your fretboard, super easy. Get yourself some 0000 extra fine steel wool fretboard protectors. So here's a narrow one for the higher frets, and then a wider one for where the fret spacing is wider. And the only other thing you're going to do if you're leaving your pickups in, if your guitar is still assembled, tape them up, because this stuff gets everywhere. I even tape up my switch because I don't want steel wool to break off and kind of collect inside the switch where the contacts are being made. So yeah, just tape up everything. I even taped this pickup up. Mind you, it probably doesn't need it. It's not going to go that far. It's not like you're doing a fret leveling and the filings go everywhere, but you will definitely see the little filings off the steel wool, like on the side of your guitar. So I like using a vacuum cleaner with a brush end on it, clean it up, then, you know, polish and all that stuff. So basically I just take one of these little fret protectors and start at the bottom fret and apply some pressure on the fret and go back and forth until I feel no resistance. You're going to feel some grittiness going back and forth on your fret. And if you just keep doing that for about, 30 seconds or so, all of a sudden that grittiness is gone. It's just like sliding on that fret. And then that's it. It's polished. These frets are already quite nice. So it'll only take me, 15 minutes to do all 22 frets. All right. Frets are all polished. And they were nice before, but they're super nice and shiny. But this is why we tape up those pickups. So look at all the filings from that steel wool. It's everywhere. And you see these dots? That steel wool is sticking to the top of the magnet on top of the tape. So that's why you want to cover up your pickups. And it's everywhere, right? It's all over my little neck wedge. It does a mess. All right, so I just conditioned the fretboard. You can see all the grain of the wood is kind of drinking up that oil. And so it's quite shiny still. I'm going to let that absorb. It's a little after 10 here, PI, so I'm going to call it a night. Let that soak up, and then I'll finish up tomorrow. But for you guys, it'll be in a few seconds.